Hello everyone, this is Unit 7. Before I begin, let me first apologize if I am not as energetic in this unit video. I'm dealing with an illness at the moment. So this unit we're going to look at education, we're going to look at perspectives, and we're also going to look at special cases in terms of emotional and behavioral problems in children. Now the perspectives on education are like the perspectives on all the other social problems that we would have done before, functionalism, conflict theory, and interactionism. Functionalism postulates basically three reasons why we have issues in education: social disorganization, deviant behavior, and institutional issues. Specifically, when we first to institutional issues, talking about the education system not having the adequate tools that they need on the institutional level in order to cater to the demand that education requires. Conflict theory postulates two sections: class conflict and value conflict. Now, the class conflict says that you basically have two different classes, the upper class and the lower class. And the upper class people, they get access to the best schools, the best education systems, while those who are at the bottom, they do not have that fair and same access. The value conflict, on the other hand, says that the people who have power, the people who are um, in the higher classes, they also have different agendas for the education system, and they push these agendas, and as a result, they move and sway the education system in the directions that they want it to go. And interactionism basically talks about labeling in the education system, how we label students as achievers and underachievers, and how these labels actually create more problems in the end, when we should really be looking at how we should be targeting each student and try to get them to perform at their optimum. There are specific problems with reform in schools and institutional change. One of the major ones is how schools are set up as bureaucracies. They have very complex organizational charts with very intricate boards, board of directors, board of education, and this sometimes makes the process in getting things done in a practical way almost impossible because of the politics that is involved with these bureaucracies. Classroom and classroom size is also a very big issue. Now, in some countries, this is such an issue that they don't even have classrooms. They actually have to have school outside on the trees. While in most Caribbean countries, we have classrooms and we have schools, but we have issues when it comes to class size. A lot of the times there are too many students to teachers, especially in the primary school level. School choice is also an issue. We have the divisions in terms of schools. We have the schools that are prestige, and you have the schools that are considered not so great. And at the end of the day, these schools are usually labeled as well, and students tend to, when associated with different types of schools, they tend to be labeled as well. One of the major issues in terms of problems with school reform is school violence. more and more we find that students are entering school compounds with knives and different weapons. And in Trinidad and Tobago, we have a very big issue with guns in schools. I actually had the experience when I used to teach in high school of a student asking me if if I wanted him to source a gun for me so I could protect myself. And he was so serious. His face did not even flinch. He said, I could get a gun for you. All you need to give me is $500 TT. And that's no money at all. And that was years ago. So you can imagine the state things are at this point. There are emotional behavioral problems in children. The list is very extensive. It includes conduct disorders, both overt and covert aggression, meaning that students can show open forms of aggression like school violence, smashing of school property, or it can be more covert, meaning that they might be lying or stealing. But all of these are still considered conduct disorders. We'll pay specific reference to ADHD, attention deficit hyperactive or hyperactivity disorder. And I'm going to use a simple definition from Kaufman. He states that ADHD is a developmental disorder of attention and activity that is evident relatively early in life, that is before the age of 7 or 8, and it persists throughout the lifespan. It involves both academic and social skills and is frequently accompanied by other disorders. Now, it's important for me to note here that a lot of people do not see ADHD as a legitimate problem, especially in the Caribbean. We tend to think that if a person has ADHD, a child has this ADHD or whatever, that child just needs to run around in a field or, just need a good licking. But research has shown, and the experience of many parents have shown, that this is in fact a real issue that a lot of children face. ADHD is related to a lot of other disorders. As you see here in the middle, if you don't pay attention, you have disruptive behavior. That in itself is related to ADHD here, where you have inattention and impulsiveness. It can also be related to conduct disorders, where you have underachievement and aggressiveness. And some especially boys, they tend to get aggressive when they are not performing very well. I suppose it's a kind of simple reaction. You also have mood disorders, difficulty concentrating, and they become very irritable, and anxiety disorders with unrealistic preoccupations and restlessness. Now, ADHD is related to other disorders as well, but you can see here just this, well, I don't want to say simple, but this concept that we might say doesn't really exist. A child just not paying attention and being disruptive is related to so many different things. What are the causes of ADHD? To be honest, researchers are still not quite sure. They make suppositions on possible causes. So we know for sure that there is a biological influence on ADHD. Children of parents or grandparents who may have had issues with inattention and hyperactivity, they tend to have this as well. But it can't exactly be pinpointed to the exact biological influence. You also have causes in the environment like lead-based paints and dyes. Some others claim that is related to food allergies as well, but research has not validated these claims. most treatment options for ADHD includes a combination of medication, parent training, and teacher training. The unfortunate thing about this is that a lot of the times the medication is where it starts and stops. So I've seen where children as young as 4 or 5 years old on medication for ADHD, and there's no parent training or teacher training, and these children are drugged up at such a young age, and pretty soon they become dependent on these drugs. Not only do they become dependent on the drugs, but the parents also become dependent on the drugs as a way of coping with the disorder. So in this regard, I want you to focus on the questions for your group assignment, and in the end, I want you to really put some thought into this assignment and come up with answers to the relevant questions. That's it for Unit 7.